Komets Corner is presented by Lee's Famous Recipe.
Nice job there, sealed off by Keppen. Keppen, swipes it away. Keppen's going to come in on a breakaway. Keppen picks it up, coming in on Gray. He shoots. He scores! Ethan Keppen on a breakaway ends it, and the Komets win it in overtime, 4-3. A great comeback.
Well, nice. I don't know about the call there.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah. But an excellent goal and an excellent way to start the week. Unfortunately, the finish wasn't exactly what you'd like. We're going to talk more about that in a minute. But Wednesday night, obviously, an exciting night to go down to the fish tank or whatever they're calling it, the fuel tank. I like to call it the fish tank because it's in Fishers. But when you take a look at Wednesday night, obviously a fun night to win an I-69 rivalry game against the Indy Fuel in dramatic fashion. You could tell the excitement in your voice there.
Komets have been getting off some very poor starts, and they did it again on Wednesday, fell behind 3-1, managed to come on back and get the overtime win there. And, again, slow starts all through this weekend as well. You got to come from behind there on Saturday. You managed to get the point. But you know what? Maybe it was disappointing, but you're getting points out of it. It's a heck of a stretch as far as playing a lot of hockey in a short period of time. So at the end of the day, it's still a success because you got 2 points.
Yeah, 7 games in 10 days wrapped up this past Sunday. So we'll talk a little bit about those individual games coming up here in a minute. But I want to talk about some really positive stuff because one of the positives is that we now have a full C on the jersey. We now know, probably easier. Saw a lot of A's on the jersey so far this season. Yeah. But we got the C on the jersey with Jack Dugan as he was named the captain on Friday. What does Jack bring? Why is he a good choice to be a captain for this Komets team? Because, you know, in the history of Komets as a franchise, it means a lot to be a captain in this town. Yeah,
the 41st captain in Komet history, and Jack Dugan is a fiery guy. You know, you see him on the ice, you see the passion that he brings. He's a guy who likes to keep things loose as well. We call him Cactus Jack for a reason because, he's got that extra gear and that flip can be switched and he can do it all out there. He was MVP of the team last year. He was the best defensive forward. He's third in the league now in assists. So he can do it all. So, he leads by example and, it's a real easy guy to get behind and you really want to just charge out of that dressing room when Captain Jack now is racing out there. So, no, it's a great choice. Coming into the season, you had a lot of guys who could be the captain. You had Anthony Petruzzelli. You had, of course, Justin Taylor, who'd been a captain. You had a lot of different ways to go, and I think the coaching staff wanted to wait to see how this year went and see who really stepped forward and became that leader, and it was Jack Dugan, and a great choice, and so happy for him to have that C on his sweater.
At the beginning, when we started this show a couple months ago, we were talking about how he got off to a slow start this season in terms of goal scoring. Now he's the team's leading scorer with 16 goals. I mean, we always knew he's a great assist guy, and that started from day one. But what he's been able to play, he's been one of the best players in the ECHL the last couple of months. Is that what you've seen?
Oh, yeah, for sure. He was last year as well. He was a guy who spent his entire career in the AHL, and when he came to Fort Wayne, he was trying to find his passion again for the game, and he did here in Fort Wayne. He's found a home. He loves it here. He's had opportunities to go elsewhere, and he said, hey, no, I'm here in Fort Wayne to stay. So I think that loyalty was also rewarded by putting the captaincy on him. So, no, really super happy for Jack, and I think this team is going in the right direction with him.
Have you had a chance to talk to him about his captaincy? And if so, if you haven't, what are some of the things that you would ask him directly about now being the guy wearing the C on the sweater?
No, actually, I have not had a chance to talk to him. I was there when David Franke gave him his sweater and made the big announcement, and he was pretty humbled by it. And but he was also very excited for the opportunity. And the guys, I think, are on board with this. They think it's a good choice. So you know what? I would just say, Jack, how does it feel? And I'm sure in Jack fashion, like, it feels great. I feel really good about the opportunity, and I'm happy to be the 41st captain.
I was talking to one of the season ticket holders not that long ago, last week actually, and it's funny because we mentioned Matthew Bowdens, and she was like, you know what? I thought Matthew Bowdens might be a captain for this Komets team when he was here prior to, and so it was ironic that this past weekend they trade for Matthew Bowdens. They get him for Worcester for future considerations. What does he mean to bring back into the fold at this point of the season? Because he helped us win a cup a few years ago, and also, he brings a little bit of toughness as well with scoring. What do you see from the Matt Bowden's trade that's going to benefit this team in the long run at this season?
Yeah, Matt Bowden's, he's not much of a scorer. He's a guy who just brings grit. He does all the greasy things. He goes down in the corners. He talks to a lot of guys. He smacks guys around. So he brings that edge. And this team is looking to get a little bit tougher. We talk about you losing Yannick Turcotte to the AHL. Jermaine Loewen, still getting his legs under him. He hasn't played since December, so he's still conditioning. Not really sure when he'll be back. So bringing in Matt Bowden, who is ready to go, and you've got a stretch here where you're now playing every game within the division, outside of 3 games against Wheeling. It's really hard for me to say that games against Wheeling are outside of the division now, but everything now starting this weekend is in the division. So for a lot of 4-point swings, a lot of games of inches, and here's a guy who brings the mental aspect. He's a guy who gets under your skin and causes you to make a mistake. So that's why Matt Bowden is back here.
You talk about Bowden's coming back to this Komets roster. Then you had Matt Murphy last week. They're getting the band back together as well. Like the Ben Boudreau band has been getting back together. Is that what we're seeing here?
We're missing Marcus McIver and Oliver Cooper and a couple other guys, but I can see the old NWO from the WCW days, those 3 guys walking in saying, hey, we're here. Yeah, you need the music. But no, it's great, because you're bringing back Matt Murphy and Matt Bowden, and not only are they old teammates from the University of New Brunswick, teammates here in Fort Wayne, they are winners. I mean, they won 4 championships in college, and they brought one here to Fort Wayne. So that is also another aspect to bringing those guys in. Whatever you think they've lost on the ice, they've gained an experience. And again, they know what it takes to win. Mm-hmm. So having those guys for full season, not that big of a deal, but having them for a stretch run and going into the playoffs is incredible.
How do you refocus the locker room and get things headed in the right direction? We'll talk about the games here in a second. But how do you, with so many, the Komets roster had stayed, as far as the ECHL goes, pretty standard. Like, it hasn't been too crazy, but they've made a lot of additions the past couple of weeks. How do you get everybody on the same page and gel? Because now we really are in that final push with about 20 games left in the season for everybody. How do you get them all on the same page and get this team ready? Because they're more talented than they were 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and we didn't mention Zach Jordan. Picked up in a trade for Cam Suprika earlier in the week. He'll be here hopefully to start the week, and he's another talented forward that we're bringing into the mix. And I think, what the coaching staff is kind of guarding against is not getting much help from Bakersfield and from Edmonton. You're not sure what you're going to get. Right now we have no contracted forwards outside of Ethan Keppen. I shouldn't say that. But so they're protecting themselves right now. It's like we need an ECHL core, an ECHL roster, because we don't know what's going to come down our way, and we'll have a good enough roster to compete, even if we don't get anybody. But if we do, hey, that's just
icing
fantastic.
On the cake.
Yeah. So if you get an Alex Swetlikoff back, hey, great. But if not, we're going to be prepared to go on without him. And again, the uncertainty with Odin Tufto, you're hoping to get him back before the end of the regular season. But if you have got now a very solid core on the forward line and another center, hey, maybe you can give him a little extra time to get ready.
All right, let's take a look at some of the highlights from Wednesday night down in Indianapolis as the Komets win 4-3. And Ethan Keppen kind of stole the show in this one.
Yeah, Kep got the game-tying goal, then he got the game winner. Again, it was a kind of a shaky start, fell down, got behind 3-1, but we got a late goal in the first period, a late goal in the second period. And this team has been a third-period team. Actually, they're the second-best team in the league as far as scoring goals in the third period, which is fantastic. But I would like to see some better first periods to get us going, because we are a different team when we have the lead.
Am I nuts? There's been so much hockey over the last 2 weeks. Am I nuts, or were you guys pretty darn good on the faceoffs in this one? Because without Odin Tufto, that's obviously been one of the issues, or one of the things that's needed to be shored up, because he was so good. Yeah. But I felt like you got a couple goals off faceoffs in this one.
Yeah, we did. And it's funny, I talked to Jason Binkley, who is now the coach of Reading. I got a longtime comment, of course, and had a long talk with Binks. And Binks and I were talking about faceoffs. And he said, it's a weird stat, because it feels like you're not winning any faceoffs, but then you go and you look at the stat sheet, it's like, wow, we were 55%. But we were winning faceoffs, but we weren't winning the important ones. And that's the one. Sure, we're winning the ones in the neutral zone, but we're not winning the ones in the offensive zone. We're not getting that puck control, and that's what Odin Tufto brings. And winning those faceoffs, it means a lot. So, but no, I think we're doing a better job. You know, I think Nick Deaconpoot, who has stepped up, Jack Dugan is now taking a lot of draws. Anthony Petrozelli, I think everybody is pretty much taking him now, and it is what it is. So the guys are improving on their faceoffs, and bringing in Zach Jordan, another guy who can take draws. You know, it's going to be a whole different team come next weekend.
So, okay, so what was the feel, what was the attitude around this team heading into the weekend? You know, you had 3 games, but all of them are at home, outside the division, but also you're playing the back end of 7 games in 10 days. Going into the weekend, as we take a look at some of the highlights, kind of what was the groove around this team? What was the feel around this team?
Yeah, this team has played an awful lot of hockey in a short amount of time. So, you know, those legs get a little bit heavy, you know, especially you had an overtime game Wednesday. You had an overtime game on Saturday, an overtime game on Sunday. So considering all the hockey these guys have put in, you know, we still had some pretty good pep there late in the game on Sunday. So I was really impressed by that. But you know what? It is what it is. You know, it's 3 games in 3 nights. Doesn't matter if it's home or on the road. We had some great crowds, over 25,000 in the building throughout the 3 games. And the players, you know, it does. It affects them because they don't want to let these home fans down, so they end up playing a little bit tighter. But going to see what Tulsa and Reading had for us, you know, they had 2 really big goaltenders, 3 really big goaltenders, 3 really good goaltenders, and they went ahead and just parked everybody out in front of them because it seemed like the Komets dictated play for all the weekend, which they did. A lot of zone play, but just could not break through that defense. So, you know, going outside the division is kind of tough, definitely this part of the season, because you're prepping yourself for the stretch run against every team from your division. So to have 3 games pop up with teams you haven't seen, you've seen Tulsa, but it was a month ago, but you've never seen Reading. They're a team that's scratching for points. They're in the hunt to make the playoffs. So it was difficult, you know, because you had that game on Wednesday. Your prep time is cut down a little bit. So all things considered, I'm going to consider this a good weekend because you did get points.
Yeah, playing off what you just said, Komets outshoot Reading on Friday 37-33, outshoot them 39-28 on Saturday, and then outshoot Tulsa 44-41. So there were opportunities, like you're saying. I mean, they packed it in, but there were opportunities, no doubt, for the Komets.
Yeah, and I think if you looked at everyone in the dressing room, they would say, hey, that game was on me. Because, hey, if I make one more pass, if I don't hit the post, I do this, I do that. You know what? We win the game. We're not even in overtime. So I think a lot of accountability, I think, in the dressing room that, you know, it's win as a team, lose as a team. You know, the goaltending has been spectacular. You know, Brett Brochu and Connor Unger did everything this week, especially Brochu on Sunday. And he's just had some bad luck. You know, an interesting stat about Brochu is that, you know, going into Sunday night's game, he was 1-3-1. Over his last 5 games, he was only getting 3 goals a game as goal support. But you look at the previous 5 games, he was 4-1, and he was getting 4.5 goals a game. So teams are starting to figure out defensively how to play the Komets. So that's one thing that the coaching staff is just going to have to figure out, because trust me, other teams now are going to look at that blueprint that they shut down the Komet offense over the weekend, and we're going to have to find a way to break through that.
You and I are on the same wavelength, because you mentioned a lot of Brett Brochu right there, and we got a chance to talk with him after the game on Sunday. Here are the comments from Brett Brochu and also the new captain, Jack Dugan.
I think obviously we're playing really hard, and it's at the end of the day, the end of the season is a grind, and every team's trying to get points. So it's definitely really important to go out there and play hard. Yeah, I mean, our team's been really solid. All of our defense have been spectacular. Same with our forwards defensively. So it's been really good. And yeah, today was obviously a tight-knit game, and we kept it close. So that was what they can do, right?
They're hard-fought games, obviously. You know, there's another team that's trying to win every night, and obviously we're doing the same. So it's going to be coming down to the wire, I think, for these last 20 games or so, going into the stretch and into the playoffs. And like I said, every team wants to make it. So finding a way to get at least 1 of 2 points is always something that you can go home happy with. But obviously, we always want the 2. I thought we were the better team for 55 minutes. We were pretty dominant the whole first and second. Kept getting grade A looks, and their goalie had a hell of a night, but sometimes that happens, and then just a little bit of lucky bounce for them with 5 minutes left, and then they get the power play in OT, and it's tough to defend that. So we ended up getting 5 out of 6 from them on the year, so we'll take that and move forward. We just stick with what we know. We're a very good team. We've had some guys out with injuries that are a big part of our team, so we've had a lot of guys step up and play some different roles that they're not used to, and I think every single guy that has done that has done a really good job with it. So I think as we move forward here, we'll just continue to grind every day and get better and closer as a team and learn from our mistakes as we go down the stretch.
All right, so he's talking about going down the stretch, learning from this past weekend, taking a look at the games this upcoming week, 2 games at home Friday and Saturday, and then a road game up, short trip up to Kalamazoo on Sunday. When you look at this week, what's going to be the focus of the Komets as they get ready for these 3 games? Obviously, it didn't sound like they were down. They would have preferred to get 2 points.
Disappointment, obviously.
Sometimes the puck doesn't bounce your way. Sometimes you just can't find the net. Things happen like that. They're not worried about it. They're putting it in the rear view and ready to go for this weekend.
Yeah, you have weekends like that. Sometimes you just got to tip your cap to the other team, the other goaltender, and move on. I think really it's going to be rest. I mean, obviously played a lot of hockey in a short period of time, so the guys get a day off today, Monday. Probably a light workout tomorrow, and then back at it Wednesday and Thursday, and then get ready for the weekend because we're playing Indy, of course, a team that we've had great success against, but. They're a team that's, dare I say it, a little boring. They're a team that just kind of sneaks up on you. And then you got Kalamazoo that even though, for what they lack in talent, I've said this before, but I don't want to play those guys down the stretch because they do nothing but work for 60 minutes. And when you got a team like that doesn't quit, they're always dangerous. So, they can refocus here. No more games outside of the division. But, you take a look at what we did against the Mountain Division, 9-1-1 this year against the Mountain. But you go out east, I think we're 2-3-1. So it's a little, it's different. So every division is different. Everyone has a different style. So now you're going back to the Central where where everybody stands. And now you can really focus in on getting 2 points every night.
It feels like a real 3-horse race for the top 2 spots, in between.
Yeah.
Komets, Iowa, and Toledo right now. And, week in and week out, it seems like Iowa and the Komets are jostling for that number 2 slot, which would get you, obviously, home ice for the postseason.
Iowa right now, they've got a lot of confidence. They went into Huntington Center last night and won in overtime. Unfortunately, they gave Toledo a point. But now they're now starting to close that gap between first and second place. And the Komets also, with games at hand on Iowa and Toledo, they're still very much in the hunt for that first place. And a month ago, I would have thought, I'm not sure if first place is going to be in the cards. But now I think it's very much in play. But also, man, if Iowa can catch Toledo, you're looking at maybe an Iowa-Fort Wayne matchup. They're going to go back and forth between the 2 and the 3 seed because you still got a lot of hockey left. Over 20 games for the Komets, but the other 2 teams are now under that 20-game threshold. So now, even though it seems like a lot, it's really not. It's going to happen pretty fast. And then looking at the month of March, you're all on the road. And the Komets have been fantastic on the road.
They have.
So only 3 home games in the month. So also you can look at that and think, hey, you know what? We still got a shot at this and winning the division.
So what you're saying is come out to the Komets games at home on Friday and Saturday because you're not going to see them a lot here in March. That's very good. Very good. Way to play into it. That's how we do it here on Komets Corner. He's Shane Albahrani. I'm Glenn Marini, and we'll see you next week.
Komets Corner is presented by Lee's Famous Recipe.